yes, and this is not exhaustive. As I said, I think there are lots of opportunities for community sector. I think we've just talked about, there's opportunities in the response end. I think there's also, I guess, opportunities where Cohealth's come from is we think our expertise is more in, gender, and particularly in supporting some of that, supporting staff and students to get around the concepts of gender, particularly those kind of two topics for our resource, and thinking through that and how to kind of, get your head around those concepts, which you really do need to do before you kind of teach it.
Gender lens.
Gender lens, yeah. So, and then I think, so there's that, and then applying that gender lens really across the whole school framework in terms of, policies and procedures and practices. I think, for us also, we bring quite strong project management expertise, which is not something that schools, I think, have a lot of time to do, which we do have a bit of time to do in the community sector. And as Therese said, some of that has been quite useful for them in terms of bringing some, skills in kind of needs assessments and planning and monitoring and evaluation. So that might be something that is expertise that sits within your community organisation that might be useful. I think I already said, linking with different community organisations in the area. One thing that we did through Girls Talk Guys Talk is also linked to some of the council youth services, which worked quite well in terms of bringing council youth workers into schools and supporting youth engagement in the curriculum. So I think that bringing those connections, linking in with the broader work that's happening in the community around prevention of violence. In most regions, there's a primary prevention partnership, often kind of led or driven by a women's health organisation in the area. A lot of community organisations and councils are members of those partnerships. So it's really worth, I think, if you're a school, figuring out who that partnership is and approaching them as a starting point to see what else is happening. I know in our region we've done a lot of work around supporting organisations, not necessarily schools, but supporting organisations who are members with gender equity. So a lot of that's going to be really useful for schools to think through, schools as workplaces and looking at your own policies and procedures. And we're now also doing more work at, engaging community and particularly, culturally and linguistically diverse communities. So there's a lot of other work happening with organisations and with communities as part of those partnerships where those kind of lessons and experience might be really useful for schools. There's probably a lot more things.
I think they're very useful examples, though, for people to be thinking about and considering, and hopefully talking with each other about as well.
Yeah, and I was going to also add, I think there are community organisations who are really good, who have quite well developed curriculum resources, who are also very good at supporting schools in, really thinking through the curriculum, and if they haven't developed it or they want to adapt their curriculum, how to do that. I know at our previous community of practice we had Victorian Legal Aid, and I know Family Planning does really good work in that area too. So it really just depends, I think, on, tapping into who the community organisations are in your region and what they can, and are able to offer.